Big Trav did something to the system. Yeah, it's back on. We just waiting on Trav to get back. No. We had it. Yeah, 10 more minutes. All right, we're good. We're back. We're back. We're back.
5, 4, 2. All right, we're back from our brief intermission. We have how y'all say that? Technical difficulties. We'll be back. Where will we leave off at? Walking with the Most High, right? Micah chapter 6. Micah chapter 6. So we know that Noah walked with the Most High. We know that Enoch walked with the Most High. So we're going to take a look at them walking together.
What verse?
Micah chapter 6 at verse 8. So why would it be mentioned? What is the point of mentioning that these two walked with the Most High? Means something, right? Okay. Micah 6 and 8.
The book of Micah chapter 6 at verse 8. He hath showed you, O man, what is good.
He said the Most High showed us what is good, yes? Right? He told us to choose between the good and the evil, the life and the death. Read.
And what does Yahuwah require of you?
What does he require of us? To do what?
But to do justly.
But to do who?
Justly.
What does it mean to do justly? Do righteously. He says that he requires us to do justly and what?
And to love mercy.
And do what?
And to love mercy.
And to love mercy. Read.
And to walk humbly with your Elohim.
Wait a minute. Now, he requires us to walk with him. Yeah? How many of y'all knew that? He wants us to walk with him. So how do you do that? Become an agreement, right? Let's go back and look at the example of the two men that he named. Get Jude, verse 14. First person we mentioned was Enoch, right? So let's look at Jude, verse 14, where it talked about Enoch. What we can see in the 66.
The book of Yehuda or Jude, verse 16, 14?
14.
14. And Hanuk also,
Hold it down, y'all.
the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold.
So he prophesied, saying what?
Behold, Yahuwah comes with 10,000 of his saints to execute judgment upon all.
So when he was here, it said that he prophesied, saying that the Most High come with 10,000 of his saints, right? Read.
To execute judgment upon all.
To execute judgment on who?
Upon all.
Upon all, read.
And to convince all that are ungodly among them.
And he said to do what?
To convince all that are ungodly among them.
To convince the ungodly. So if he's preaching about the ungodly, is he one of them? No. Read.
Of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed.
There. He's not saying we. Which means he was opposing to what they were doing, yes? So when we out here and we preaching the word, quote unquote, and we're saying, these people do this and these people do that, do you actually oppose the sin that you're preaching against? Or are you a part of it? Like we dealt with in Bible study, hold what you got, get Romans, the 2nd chapter. Right? So when you looking at he was preaching against them, that means that he had to be doing something opposing what they were doing. Or else the Most High wouldn't have sent them to say it. Right? Romans 2, pick it up at verse 2.
The book of Romans chapter 2 at verse 2.
And we might need, Johnny.
Check.
Oh, I ain't gotta let it lean on you. You probably gonna need it too. No.
Check.
No technical.
Good.
That's cool. Mic check. Romans 2:2.
Chapter 2 and verse 2. But we are sure that the judgment of Elohim is according to truth against them which commit such things.
So he said that the judgment of the Most High is true against who?
According to truth against them which commit such things.
Same thing like what Enoch was doing, right? Preaching against the people that were doing said things and showing them the judgments that was to come, right? Read.
And think you this, O man, that judges them which do such things.
Now think you that judge the people who do the things that you talking about. So when you out here preaching, you consider this, right? No, you don't have to be somebody with teacher on the back of your chair to be teaching somebody, right? Read.
And think you this, O man, that judges them which do such things, and does the same.
And do what?
And does the same.
Are you without sin when you judge another? When you preach to another and say, hey, you going to hell for this, you going to hell for that. The Most High don't like this, the Most High don't like that. Do you consider you? Read.
That you shall escape the judgment of Elohim.
You think you're going to escape because you know his judgments? That actually make it worse for you if you're doing wrong. Read.
Or despise you the riches of his goodness and forbearance and long-suffering, not knowing that the goodness of Elohim leads you to repentance.
So he's saying, now you're going to preach somebody into hell or into the grave, not knowing or disregarding his long-suffering, disregarding his mercy. Read.
But after your hardness and impenitent
or unrepentant heart, go ahead.
Heart treasures up unto yourself wrath against the day of wrath and revelation of the righteous judgment of Elohim, who will render to every man according to his deeds, to them who by patient continuance in well-doing seek the esteem and honor and immortality, eternal life.
Drop down to verse 13.
Verse 13. For not the hearers of the law are just before Elohim, but the doers of the law shall be justified. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these, having not the law, are a law unto themselves, which show the works of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts that mean while accusing or else excusing one another.
So, like what B was talking about with the good steward, right? You have the word. He gave it to you. What are you doing with it? Are you going out preaching that somebody shouldn't be doing A, B, C, and D, and then you turning around and you got your secret sins that you're doing? Because if that's the case, you fall under this. You have no excuse. Somebody that don't know the law do. They actually still got the blood. They got the fact that he said, I'll wink at your ignorance. You don't, but you preaching. You teaching. You telling everybody they need to turn around and shift and do this and that. But your conversation is foul. But your actions is foul. Don't work like that. Remember, mind your mouth. Right? Read.
Verse 16. In the day when Elohim shall judge the secrets of men by Yeshua HaMashiach according to my good news.
Yeah.
Behold, you are called a Hebrew or a a Yahudim, and rest in the law, and make your boast of Elohim,
Yeah.
and know his will, and approve the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law.
So y'all approve of everything that the Most High said in the book, right? You approve it, right? It's good? Yes, it's good? All right, good.
You therefore, which teach another, teach not yourselves.
Do you actually go in the same way you would go to... Let me break this scripture down to you, bro. Let me bust this down to you. See, you don't really understand. See, the church told you this, but it's really this. Do you sit down with yourself and consider, right? Read.
Teach not you yourselves? You that preach a man should not steal. Do you steal?
Uh-huh.
You that says a man should not commit adultery. Do you commit adultery? You that abhors idols. Do you commit sacrilege? You that makes a boast of the law, through breaking the law dishonors you, Elohim?
You dishonoring the Most High. If you got the nerve to tell somebody that something you're not doing, you're dishonoring the Father. Which means you can't walk with him, because even though you agree in word, you're not walking it out. Right? Read.
For the name of Elohim is blasphemed amongst the Gentiles through you, as it is written. For circumcision truly profits.
You good on that? So when we looking at Enoch over here in the book of Jude, when he preaching the judgments of the Most High to these people, he not doing the things that he preaching against. Consider yourself. Well, he committed adultery. I'm not committing adultery. So I can tell him about the adultery. Consider yourself. You're not supposed to be doing anything against the Most High when you open your mouth. Mind your mouth. Or do right. Right? Let's go back to Jude. Pick it up at the 14th verse again.
Jude, verse 14. And Chanuk also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, Yahuwah comes with 10,000s of his saints to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him.
Uh-huh.
These are murmurers.
These are who?
Murmurers.
Uh-huh.
Complainers.
Uh-huh.
Walking after their own lust.
Walking where?
Walking after their own lust.
Walking after their own lust. Read.
And their mouth speaks great swelling words.
Uh-huh.
Having men's persons in admiration because of advantage.
Because of what they got. Right? So these people is murmurers. These people are complainers. If you fall in one of these categories, you need to switch it up. Because these are the people that the judgment gonna come on. Right? But this is to show that if he was able to name these people off, then he was the complete opposite. So he walked upright. He walked righteously, like Antoine mentioned. This is why he was said to walk with the Most High. Genesis chapter 6. Pick up at verse 9.
Genesis 6 and 9. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man.
He was a what type of man?
A just man.
He was a just man.
And perfect in his generation.
He was just and he was perfect in his generation. Read.
And Noah walked with Elohim.
Uh-huh.
And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
So in this time, looking at what we just looked at with Enoch, with him being perfect and just, that means his heart was perfect and it was just with the Most High, right? Which means that he mimicked that what Elohim put out to the people, yes? So he can be said or mentioned with those that did what? Walk with the Most High, right? Is that you? Can he say, Travis, just and perfect in his generation, walk with the Most High? When it's said and done, can that be written about Travis? Can that be written about you? Think about it. Can it be written that you insert name, is just and perfect and walked with the Most High. The only way you can walk with him, Amos 3:3.
Amos 3:3.
Yep. There's only one way to walk with the Most High.
The book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 3. Can two walk together?
Can who?
Can two walk together?
So, Noah walked with the Most High. Enoch walked with the Most High. He said, can two walk together except what?
They be agreed.
Except they be agreed. That means there was no diversity of thought process, of action when it came to Enoch and it came to Noah when this was mentioned about them. Do you have a different thought process than the Most High? As in terms of what's written? Are you walking contrary to him on one or more things? It ain't, well, it's this many laws. I only break this one. Don't matter. You're contrary. That means you can't walk with him. Right? Enoch walked with him and was taken up. Noah walked with him and was saved out of destruction of the world. What happens if you don't walk with him? Micah says that his requirement is for you to love mercy and to walk with him. So that's your mission here, is to walk with him. I mean, you got to be just and you got to be upright in how many of your ways? All, not some, all. Matthew 5 and 48. Matthew 5 and 48.
Book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 48. Mm-hmm. Be you therefore perfect.
Do what?
Be you therefore perfect.
Be you therefore perfect. Where?
Even as your Father, which is in Shamayim, is perfect.
Even as he's perfect. Right? Even as he's perfect. What does that mean? Being blameless. Being complete. Right? Can you be blameless and sin it? Can you be complete, still yearning for the world? Don't work like that. Right? Isaiah chapter 7. So some people will say, well, see, the Most High was showing up and he was around at this time that they can walk with him. How are we supposed to do that right now? Anybody got an answer for that? Ruach. Isaiah 7:14.
The book of Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 14. Therefore, the Master himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel.
You gonna call his name what?
Emmanuel.
Matthew 1 and 22.
No, bro, that just means maybe.
The book of Matthew, chapter 1 and verse 22. Now all this was done, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Master by the prophet, saying, Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel.
What that mean?
Which being interpreted is Elohim with us.
Who's with us?
Elohim with us.
So if he was with them, that means that they can actually do what? Walk with Elohim. Or walk with Yah. Through Mashiach. So he went out and picked how many people to walk with him? 12. That can actually say, we walked with Yah, according to what the scriptures mention. Right? One of them, though. Right? So if you can say that you walked with Yah, can you also say that you did something on the other side? Can you walk with the devil? Can you walk with the deceiver?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll give you a small example. 2 Kings chapter 8.
Either or.
Exactly.
With y'all, you with him.
Remember, the Most High said, or Mashiach says, either you're hot or you're cold. There is a gray area.
Don't be
The
there.
gray area is called lukewarm. If you're on the gray area, if you're on the fence, if you're towing the line, if you're in between opinions, you might as well be cold. You might as well be cold because you ain't going to be accepted anyway. Right?
Be cold until you get ready to get hot.
So be cold until you get hot. Until he turn the temp up in that thing. Right? 1 Kings chapter 8 verse 27. 2 Kings, I'm sorry.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 8, and verse 27.
What happened?
And he walked.
And who?
and he
Go back
walked.
to the verse before.
Verse 26. 22 years old was Ahaziah when he began to reign. And he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri, king of Israel. And he walked in the way of the house of Ahab.
He did what?
He walked in the way of the house of Ahab.
He walked in the way of the house of Ahab, read.
And did evil in the sight of Yahuwah.
And did evil in the sight of Yahuwah. So if he's walking after the house of Ahab and did evil, then he's walking in the opposite of who? If you're not walking with Yah, right? So hold what you got. Get Ephesians chapter 2 at verse 2.
The book of Ephesians.
Because what will happen is we got a forefather, right? He did something like sin, like from the beginning, right? This particular forefather just so happened to be our first forefather, right? And he brought sin into the world. So if you commit sin, then you're walking after who? Your forefather, just like he did. And who were our forefather following? The serpent. So who does this go back to? If you're not walking with the Father, you're walking with who? Walking with that serpent. It's only one or the other. It's no middle ground. The only way he vied for your soul is when he sent his son to die for it. That's as far as he going with it. It's up to you to make the decision. Ephesians 2:2.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 2, at verse 2. Wherein, in time past, you walked according to the course of this world.
You walked according to what?
The course of this world.
If you are a friend of the world, then you are what? You're an enemy of the Most High. He said, you walked according to this world. Read.
According to the prince of the power of the air.
According to who?
To the prince of the power of the air.
So you're walking with the prince of the power of the air. Is that the Most High? No. Absolutely not. Read.
The Ruach that now works in the children of disobedience.
That Ruach works where?
In the children of disobedience.
So they got a Ruach too. Wow. Right? Matthew 1:23 again. So you can walk with the Most High, or you can walk with the adversary. Completely up to you.
The book of Matthew, chapter 1, and verse 23. Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is Elohim with us. Then Yosef, being raised from the sleep, did as the Malachim of Yahuwah had bidden him.
Good on that. John chapter 14. John chapter 14. So we know we got Mashiach. Came into the world, right? He was baptized. And what came on him? Ruach HaKodesh, right? Now, if he was interpreted as Yah with us, that means that those people that walked with him were walking with who? But at any time they felt contrary to what he was doing, what did they end up doing? They had to leave. Before you get that out, get John 6 and 66. Oh yeah, there's a verse in the Bible, John 6 and 66. Don't be scared of it. Don't be scared of it. I ain't never going to that Bible.
Yeah. The book of John, chapter 6.
Super Bruce be like, where was John though? He should have went to just verse 67.
There's 66. Should have started chapter 7.
Right. Why you ain't just start another chapter?
The book of John, chapter 6, verse 66.
Started, yeah, 66.
From that time, many of his disciples.
Of his who?
Of his disciples.
What is a disciple?
Oh.
A follower. Somebody that's learning from him. So many of his followers, what did they do?
Went back.
They did what?
Went back.
They went back. Read.
And walked no more with him.
And they did what?
Walked no more with him.
So many of them, because they were offended at what he was teaching, because they were opposing it, because they wanted to continue in their sin, they did not continue to walk with Yah. Make sense? Does that make sense? Read the next verse.
Verse 67.
They lost out on salvation, by the way. That decision alone caused them to lose out on salvation. They had the opportunity to walk with Yah and chose not to because they didn't perceive him as Yah. So you need to be conscious of the decisions that you make with who you actually deal with when it comes to the word. Yeah? Okay. Go ahead.
Then said Yeshua unto the 12,
Uh-huh.
will you also go away?
That's the question that he asked. Will you go away too? You gonna walk away like the rest of them did? Read.
Then Kepha answered him,
What did he say?
Master, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life.
Where we gonna go? You got the words of eternal life. But he was opposing everything that they ever knew. Everything that the Pharisees was doing and was teaching it, he was going against it. It didn't settle right with him sometimes. Do you know that you're saying that against the Pharisees? Do you know that? But they didn't care about what it looked like. They cared about the word. So they decided that they were going to walk with Yah. He said, where we going to go? You got the words to eternal life. Why would we walk anywhere else? Read.
And we believe.
And we do what?
We believe
Uh-huh.
and are sure that you are that Hamashiach,
Uh-huh.
the son of the living Elohim.
Yeah.
Yeshua answered them, have not I chosen you 12, and one of you is the devil?
One of you was who?
The devil?
So, right when it come to walking with Yah, guess who else is sitting right there? The adversary. Did Barak do a lesson about that? Right? Walking with the Most High.
We called him out early.
In the cool of the day. Where was they at?
In the garden.
In the garden. Guess who else was in there? He ain't too far. It's just about who you gonna choose to walk with. They saw him walking in the garden. They dealt with him walking in the garden, but they still chose to go with something that appeased the flesh. Right? John chapter 14. So that's man that came on the earth, right? These people had their opportunity to walk with the Most High. Many changed their thought process, right? And when I say Most High, it's because it says that he's interpreted as Yah with us, right? So many had the opportunity to actually walk with him, and they turned away from it. Judas had the opportunity to walk with him, but he chose to do something opposite, right? So now when he has to leave this earth, because he had a job to do, right? He left you with something. John chapter 14. Pick it up at verse 15.
John 14 and 15. If you love me, keep my commandments, and I will pray the Father.
He gonna do what?
I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter.
He will do what?
Give you another comforter.
Which means that he was already a what? He was already a comforter. So I'm gonna give you another one. Read.
That he may abide with you.
He may do what?
Abide with you.
Go ahead.
Forever.
Uh-huh.
Even the Ruach of truth.
Even what?
The Ruach of truth.
Read.
Whom the world cannot receive, because it sees him not, neither knows him, but you know him.
You know him. Remember when we said we had this conversation about walking with somebody, that when you're walking with somebody and you get in stride with somebody and you in sync with somebody, that this is somebody that you actually know. This ain't no stranger. Right? Read.
But you know him, for he dwells with you and shall be in you.
He shall be what?
In you.
So at any time, if this Ruach is in you and you start to oppose the Most High, what will it do? It will leave. At that point, you leaning on your own understanding. Because Mashiach came and gave the sense to the word, right? So the Ruach would do the same thing. Read. Let's see it.
I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. Yet a little while, and the world sees me no more. But you see me, because I live.
Now
You
he
shall
just
live.
gave you what the Ruach is going to do and what he was going to do. Yet a little while, and I'm going to give you this Ruach. The world not going to know it. The same thing he just said in his own statement, right? I'm going to leave from you yet a little while. When I come back, ain't nobody going to be able to know who I am. Read. He's giving us an extension of him that was given by the Father. So even though he's not physically walking with us, he's still doing what? Walking with us. He gave you an out for us to always be comforted by walking with the Most High. But we take the Ruach for granted. Read.
Verse 19. Yet a little while, and the world sees me no more. But you see me, because I live. You shall live also. At that day, you shall know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. He that has my commandments and keeps them.
He does do what?
Has my commandments and keeps them.
Because that's what a steward does, right? Guards them, right? Read.
He it is that loves me, and he that loves me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him, and will manifest myself to him. Judas said unto him, not Iscariot, Master, how is it that you will manifest yourself unto us, and not unto the world? Yeshua answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and he will come unto me and make our abode with him.
He gonna make our what?
Abode with him.
We gonna be in you. You gonna know. Right? But if you take it for granted and you walk contrary to the word, you'll never be able to experience him and the Father being inside of you. Which we do. Because if you never felt the Ruach inside of you, you won't long for it. Which means you won't follow after righteousness. Hold what you got. Isaiah 51:1.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 51, verse 1. Listen to me, you that follow after righteousness.
You that do what?
That follow after righteousness.
Listen to me, you that follow after righteousness. Read.
You that seek Yahuwah.
You that do what?
That seek Yahuwah.
Uh-huh.
Look unto the rock whence you are hewn.
Now, this is going to give you something a little bit different, right? So now, you seeking Yahuwah. What do you seek Yahuwah by doing? His word, right? Reading his law, right? Following, doing his law. This is how you seek him, yes? Yes. Read.
Look unto the rock whence you are hewn.
He said, look to the rock which you are hewn. Anybody know what that rock is? Yeah. Read.
And to the hole of the pit where you are digged.
Now what is he trying to get you to see? Read the next verse.
Look unto Abraham.
Look unto who?
Unto Abraham.
Because Abraham was accounted righteousness by his what? So now that you looking for him and you trying to keep, not trying, you are keeping his law, right? Now you have to couple that with what? With faith, with belief, right? It's not just one of them things where, well, I know what the book says, so I'm good. No. Knowing is worse if you don't do. Let's go back to Matthew. Mashiach told us in the book of Matthew, the 5th chapter, he says, back to the book of John. He told us in the book of Matthew, the 5th chapter, blessed are those that hunger and thirst after what? Righteousness. We got to walk with him. That's the only way we going to make it. We got to walk with him. No matter what you're doing in your life, it's not as important as sinking stride with the Most High. Right? What verse was you at?
24.
Read verse 23.
Verse 23. John 14 and 23. Yeshua answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him, and make our abode with him.
Verse 26.
Verse 26. But the Comforter, which is the Ruach HaKodesh.
The Comforter, which is who?
The Ruach HaKodesh.
Shall do what?
Whom the Father will send in my name. He shall teach you all things, and bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you.
In order to bring something to your remembrance, that means that you have had to already do what?
Been exposed to it.
Been exposed to it. Learned it. How can you ever say that you have the Ruach if you don't know what he told you to know? If you don't go in and deal with the word as he told you to deal with it. If you don't read it day and night like he spoke to you about, how can you ever say that you had a Ruach? Because it's supposed to bring things to what? Remembrance. You don't remember nothing you ain't never dealt with. Deja vu. Nope. Mm-hmm. So he leave us this comforter, right? So it starts off, they in the garden, they walking with Elohim. Right? After that, we got times where he came on the earth when they were walking with Elohim. Right? Yeah. Then Mashiach come on the scene, who was supposed to be Elohim that is with us. And he has 12 that does what? Walk with him. Well, he really only had 11. The other one was just making steps. Right? Now he said, I got to go, but I'm going to leave you a comforter. And this comforter is going to bring all things into remembrance. And then they tell us to do something. Romans, the 8th chapter, in the 1st verse.
The book of Romans, chapter 8, and verse 1. There is, therefore, Now, no condemnation to them which are in Yeshua HaMashiach, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Ruach.
That walk not after what?
After the flesh.
But after the what?
After the Ruach.
If you walking after the Ruach, that means that you're still doing what? Walking with Yah. This is what's supposed to govern you. This is what's supposed to be the head of and control of your actions. This is how, if you're lining up with the Ruach, that you can tell that you actually going to make it into the kingdom. Because he mentioned with his Ruach that I and my Father are already in you. You just waiting to come see us one day. Right? Read.
Verse 2. For the law of the Ruach of life in Yeshua HaMashiach have made me free.
Made him what?
Made me free.
It made him what?
Free.
It made him free. Liberty. Read.
From the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, Elohim sending his own son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned the sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh,
but what?
But after the Ruach.
So we still have to walk with Yah, but you don't see him this time. Now you got to look to Abraham because of that faith. You don't see him this time. You can't put your hands on him and say, hey, I'm walking with you this morning. You got to believe and you got to do. Right? You have to believe and you got to do. Outside of that, you have nothing. Because if you're not walking with the Most High, who are you walking with? Matthew 6 and 24.
The book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 24. No man can serve two masters.
No man can do what?
Can serve two masters.
No man can serve two masters.
For either he will hate the one and love the other.
When we look at the commandments, he says, for thousands of those that do what? And so if you love him, then you keep his. If at any time you sin him, dare I say it? Don't say, no, it ain't that you don't love him. No, that's not what it's saying. That's not harsh enough. Read that again.
Matthew chapter 6 and verse, what's that?
24.
24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one.
He will do what?
Hate the one and love the other.
So if you're not walking completely in his commandments, if you're willfully sinning, if you're not getting in your word like he told you to, if your conversations are not conversations that are edifying, guess what? You're showing him that you actually hate him. Not that you don't love him. It's one thing for me not to love somebody walking up the street. It's a totally opposite thing for me to hate him. Make sense? So if you're not walking with him, what Mashiach say? If you ain't with me, then you what? You against me. It ain't this war. I got an enemy. The adversary is my enemy. So if you're not with me, you got to be with the adversary. And if you with the adversary, then you hate me. Right? Read that again from the top.
No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one.
He will do what?
He will hold to the one.
He will do what?
Hold to the one.
He will hold to the one and what?
And despise the other.
And do what?
And despise the other.
So if you showing this man that you ain't keeping his commandments, not only do you hate him, but you do what? Despise. Man, can you look him in his, can you say in your prayer, Father, I despise you? Can you say in your prayer, Father, I hate you? But you will do it with your actions? Actions do what? Then what? You ain't got to say it in your prayer. He see it on you. Every time you go against his commandment, he can hear it. He can hear it. Because his son's blood is on that. Abel's blood was on the ground, and what did it do to the Most High? It cried out. You think his son's blood ain't crying out? Were you sinning after he died to take away your sins? Come on, y'all. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 8. Either you walking with him or you're not. Either you walking with him or you walking with the adversary. It's only one or the other. We don't get to pick and choose whether we want to be in the middle or walk with him. He chooses for you. If you don't want to walk with me, if you haven't thoughts about walking on the others, it's like being in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Are you choosing between me and such and such? Well, I'll make the choice for you. Go ahead over there. Right? Ain't no.
Matter of fact, dog, come get it.
B said, come get her.
Matter of fact, come get it, dog.
Right?
Come get your girl.
Elijah said, how long you going to struggle between two opinions? Pick one. But as for me and my house, Joshua wasn't playing with you saying that. Well, I got you, AB. 1 John 3 and 8. Go ahead.
The book of 1 John chapter 3 and verse 8. He that commits sin is of the devil.
Whoa. Period. We come here all the time. Do it make it a little bit more clear? Either you walking with him or you ain't. Either you keeping the commandments or you're not. Either you love the Most High or you love the adversary. Either you're walking with the Most High or you're walking with the devil or the adversary. It's up to you. But if you commit in sin, then that's who you are. And guess what you become when you start to act righteous after that? Don't be tripping if you see one of Satan's people transformed into a... You ain't think that could be you? You ain't think that could be you? He just said that if you commit in sin, that you are the devil. So when you come amongst believers and you acting like you're a believer, guess what you are to us?
Marvel not.
So when something happened where it's like, oh, such and such was out of pocket, they were sending it, we can't be, oh my goodness. Because he told you, marvel not. But what you need to do with yourself is make sure that you ain't playing around. And you ain't one of the people transformed. Right? This is a love or hate relationship. We played around with him too long. The last time I was up here, he said, how long? How long do he got to keep over and over and over again justifying you? How long? No longer. So we got to do our part. Right? Pick it up at James 1 and 18. Actually, you can start at verse 15.
The book of James, chapter 1 and verse 15.
I'm sorry. No, not at verse 1. Not at verse 1. It's pretty close, though. Verse 8.
The book of James, chapter 1 and verse 8. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Because you trying to shuffle between two what? You're double-minded. I can't trust you to do anything. Right? Read.
Let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted, but the rich in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away. For the sun is no sooner risen with a burning heat, but it wherewith the grass.
Pick it up at verse 13.
Verse 13. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Elohim. For Elohim cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempts he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed.
By the devil's lust.
By his own lust and enticed.
The devil made me do it. Whose lust was that?
His own lust.
Read.
And enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it brings forth sin.
It brings forth what?
Sin.
So now once that lust that come out of your own heart has conceived, it brings forth sin, which means that you are of who? Read.
And sin, when it is finished,
And when you're of the devil, what's going to happen?
brings forth death.
Read.
Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and perfect gift is from above, and comes down from the Father of lights, which whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Of his own will begot he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear,
And what?
slow to speak,
And what?
slow to wrath.
So he said, be swift to hear, slow to speak. Why would he tell you to be slow to speak?
Be careful with your words.
Gotta be careful with your mouth. Back to the beginning. Hold on to that, because we're going to get into that. Keep reading.
Verse 19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath.
Slow to what?
Slow to wrath.
Slow to wrath. Do you pop off the chain? You just ready on go. Hold on to that. Read.
For the wrath of man works not the righteousness of Elohim.
So if you're quick to wrath, then you cannot be working the righteousness of Elohim. Which means you're not walking after him. Right? These are everyday things that you have to deal with and consider whether you are of him or you're not. Read.
Verse 20.
21. 21.
Verse 21. Wherefore, lay apart all filthiness and superfluity,
Overflow of evil.
and naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted words.
Receive with who?
With meekness.
Why does he tell you to receive it with meekness? What does the word do to your inner man? It cut him up. It hit you and exposed things about you that you never wanted to see. So in order for you to actually get the word, you're going to have to humble down. I can't stand when they teach about that anyway. You just missed the whole point. Read.
And receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your soul.
It's able to do what?
Save your soul.
The word is able to save your soul. Read.
Be ye doers of the word.
Be you what?
Doers of the
Because
word.
if you're a doer, then you can walk with him. Read.
And not hearers only,
Uh-huh.
deceiving your own selves.
Uh-huh.
For if any be a hearer of the word, and not a doer,
It's like a man that do what?
he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholds himself, and goes his way, and straightway forgets the manner of man he was.
You done forgot who you was. You can see it right now. Like when you're in here, you ready for the word, right? And when you leave here, it's gone. You don't remember nothing. That's because you ain't got a heart to serve. How many of y'all actually go through these lessons and go over them and say, I don't know about that part right there? Or you actually reflect on these things throughout the week, right? You got to be able to do this stuff to show that you have a pure heart. We could be telling you anything. Or, B can be telling you anything. Wait, that boy could be twisting the scriptures.
See how my brother do?
Hey, well, I got accused of that one time, man. We almost had to jump on somebody. Twisting scripture. Man. Keep reading. Remember that, Matt?
Verse 25. But whoso looks into the perfect law
But if you look into the perfect law, read.
of liberty,
Of who?
of liberty,
Remember that freedom again, read.
and continues therein,
Uh-huh.
he being not forgetful being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed or increased in his deed. If any man among you seem to be religious.
Oh, what you got there? Jump over to 2 Corinthians chapter 3. So now, who gonna help you with that? Who gonna help you not become a forgetful hearer? The Ruach. But you got to be willing and receptive of it. Which means you got to actually get in the book. Chapter 3. Pick it up at verse 18. So it says, if you are a forgetful hearer and not a doer, it's like you got a glass that you don't remember your own reflection in, right? 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and pick it up at verse 18.
2 Corinthians 3 and 18.
Verse 17.
17. But now, Yahuwah is that. Now Yahuwah is that spirit.
Yahuwah is what?
Is that Ruach.
Yahuwah is that Ruach. Read.
And where the Ruach of Yahuwah is.
And where what?
Yahuwah. And where the Ruach of Yahuwah is.
Where the Ruach of Yahuwah is, there's what?
There is liberty.
They go that liberty again. The freedom come through the Ruach. The bondage come with sin. Read.
But we all, with open face beholding as in a glass.
Now here go the same glass, right? But when you got the Ruach, what happens? Read.
But we, with open face beholding as in a glass, the esteem of Yahuwah.
What happened?
Are charged into the same image from esteem to esteem.
So now you get the same image of he that you esteem. From esteem to esteem. If you doing what he told you to do. It's a different thing that you're looking at in that glass now. You ain't just looking at a regular man that you're going to forget what he looked like. You're looking at the everlasting. Read that verse one more time.
But we all, with open face, beholding as in a glass the esteem of Yahuwah, are changed into the same image from esteem to esteem.
Going back to the first.
Even as by the Ruach of Yahuwah.
This is by the Ruach that this is going to happen. It only happens if you walking with God. You don't get this if you're not walking with him. If you don't like the person you see in the mirror, you ain't walking with him. It's time to flip that. He told you, I'll give you something better to look at in the mirror than you. Huh? That what you see in the mirror, that's you, that's temporary. But if you take this Ruach on, what you see in that mirror is forever. Right? Let me ask you a question. If you say you keeping his commandments, and you say that, hey, you know, I'm doing the right thing, but you just can't stop running your mouth. Right? I said we was going to bring this up, right? I said we was going to bring this up for Bible study. This was requested, so we got to go ahead and hit it. Right? Because remember, he talked about somebody that can't stop running their mouth. Some settings call it pillow talking. Some settings call it gossip. Some settings call it talebearing. Some, you just the person that, like when I was out in another state, I won't say, in another congregation, I won't say.
California?
I won't say. There was a brother in the congregation that they actually called talk too much. That was his name. Like when new people would come in there, they would actually have to go up to him and be like, yo, hey man, just don't say nothing. Right? Because he talked too much.
Can't get right.
But he's there every Sabbath. He's there reading the scriptures. The only thing he's talking about to the people is scripture. All the time. But he never stops talking. Then if you talk with you too much, then it'll start to go into, oh man, yeah, you know, I was out there in the hood, out there in Detroit one year. Where you from? The east side or the west side? You know what I'm saying? It's starting to get into a little different. But this is how he do everybody, right? He just talk too much. Are you that person? Do you talk too much? Do you gossip? Do you talebear? Do you say things at times that you shouldn't say them? Right? We talked about in the men's meeting about volunteering information that's not necessary. Doing more hurt than good with your words. You cannot get into the kingdom like that. What? About words? What? The man said, by your words shall you be what? And by your word shall you be what? So let's look at it. Proverbs 21. Verse 21.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 21 and verse 21. He that follows after righteousness and mercy finds life.
He that do what?
He that follows after righteousness and mercy finds life.
So if you follow after righteousness and mercy, you're going to find what?
Life.
So he just told you if you walk with the Most High, you're going to find life. Yeah? We've been talking about that this whole time. Verse 23.
Verse 23. Whoso keeps his mouth and his tongue.
He said, whoso do what?
Keeps his mouth.
And what?
And his tongue.
He said, your mouth and your tongue. Your mouth and your tongue. We get to it. Go ahead.
Keeps his soul from trouble.
He said to keep your soul from trouble.
Troubles.
With plural. So if you can't control your mouth and your tongue, guess what's going to happen? You're going to find yourself in a heap of troubles. Ephesians 4:29.
Read the next verse.
Oh, go ahead. Read the next verse.
Verse 24. Verse 24. Verse 24. Proud and haughty scorner.
Say who?
Proud
and who?
And haughty scorner.
Uh-huh.
Is his name.
Is his who?
Is his name who deals in proud wrath.
That wrath again we was just talking about, right? He says be
proud.
Swift to hear. Swift to hear and what? Slow to speak and slow to.
What is proud wrath?
What is proud wrath? Uncontrollable, overbearing, over the top. He stepped on my shoes. I'm about to kill that.
Or proud that he what he did. Man, I whooped.
Or that too. Now who would ever do that? I'll beat that Buffy down. Right? Cut him with the scripture. Ephesians 4:29.
I'm geeked about it.
Yeah.
I be mad all the time. I whoop niggas up all the time.
Very boy.
Hey, what you say over there, Snyder?
Hey, get started. After class.
You don't know what we do. You don't know what we do.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Actually, start at verse 28.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 28. Let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands, the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that need.
We got it.
Ephesians 4 and 28.
All right, read next verse.
Ephesians 4 and 29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth.
Let no what?
Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth.
What is corrupt communication? Idle words, gossip, tale-bearing, lies. Y'all missing something. Mind your own business.
I like this definition. It says unwholesome words.
Unwholesome words. Can y'all think of a couple four-letter unwholesome words?
The same words that you wouldn't want your children to say. Think about it.
What? Do as I say, not as I do.
It's a couple five
I mentioned,
words too.
and some 5 letters. I've mentioned this before. That is the worst thing that you can ever tell a child. Well, you be cussing, well, I can't cuss. Well, do as I say, not as I do. The worst thing you can ever, that's the worst advice you can give anybody in life. Because you're supposed to be the what? The example. You the example. You don't tell them. That's so confusing. Children are sponges. They soak up everything that they see. But you gonna tell me, disregard this because I'm grown. That makes absolutely no sense. Did the Most High ever say, don't follow after what I say? I mean, don't follow after, don't do as I do, follow after what I say. Do he ever do anything outside of his own word? He is the word. It's absolutely backwards to say that. So when you're around here using those words, guess what that's considered? Corrupt communication. So when you're using that corrupt communication, you're contrary to who? Which means you're not doing what with them? Just over that?
So it's like people will say, well, these is just English words. This stuff don't really mean nothing. The white man made them where they bad or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Again, if your child was saying the words, would you whoop him? Right? When they tell you that you was at, your son was at school and he called a little girl a B. Whooping, right? Whooping, right? All these things. But we try to flip it around and make it all right. Just showing you that it's not all right, because if it was all right, you wouldn't care if your children used them.
And even if you let your children use them, because there's some of them out there, it's still corrupt. It didn't say corrupt communication in your house. It says don't use corrupt communications, period. Right? Which includes what the scripture says, soft answer turns away wrath. Is the answer wrong? In that particular statement, is the answer wrong? No. It's the way that it's given. Right? A soft answer turns away wrath. Right? So if you're constantly being harsh, and you're conscious of it, it's not like the Most High. Right? Proverbs 10 and 19. Proverbs 10 and 19.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 10, and verse 19. In the multitude of words.
In the what?
In the multitude of words.
What is a multitude? In a lot of words. When you think multitude in the scriptures, you don't think, you just think a lot, right? Innumerable multitude, mixed multitude, right? He said a multitude of what?
In the multitude of words.
Of words, what happened?
There once not sin.
What does that mean? Now, if you was in Bible study, don't say nothing. In the multitude of words, there wants not sin. What does that mean? There you go. Sin doesn't stop. In the multitude of words, there is no lack of sin. Which means, if you're a person that talk too much, according to this word, you're a sinner. I just wanted to let that one breathe for a minute, just so you can kind of. If you talk too much, according to the word, you're a sinner. Read that.
What's that? Proverbs
10:19.
10:19. In the multitude of words, there wants not sin, But he that refrains his lips.
But he that do what?
Refrains his lips.
He that refrains his lips, what?
Is wise.
Is what?
Is wise.
Is wise. What did he say was wisdom in the scriptures? The commandments. He said the commandments will be your wisdom in the sight of the nations. Because even a fool, when he be quiet, is counted as what? You're going to think he knows something. You're going to think that he's obedient because he's quiet at the time. Right? So we shouldn't be doing a lot of this because a lot of this leads to what? It leads to sin. It leads to gossip. It leads to backbiting. Right? Mashiach wasn't a man of a whole bunch of words, but when he actually spoke, it meant something. Right? I use my Aunt Quab for an example all the time when I talk about this stuff. How many of y'all know Quab to be a talker?
Nothing about the book, he ain't talking about it.
Even when we in conversation, if it ain't about Steph. Even then, he don't get in until somebody say something crazy. Man, come on, huh? Right? But more times than not, he quiet. So when he actually say something, what do you see everybody else doing? I'm just going to the bathroom, right? That's how it's supposed to be with everybody, right? Because when you talk too much, you just go on and 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 on. There's sin somewhere. Are you that person? Read.
The tongue of the just.
The who?
The tongue of the just is as choice silver. The heart of the wicked is little worth.
The heart of the wicked is what?
Is little worth.
So the heart of the wicked is little worth. Why don't he say something about the tongue and then he talk about the heart? Read that back from the top.
Verse 19. In the multitude of words there wants not sin, but he that refrains his lips is wise. The tongue of the just is as choice silver. The heart of the wicked is little worth.
Why do he say the tongue of the just is as choice silver, but then say the heart of the wicked on the other side? What do the tongue and the heart got to do with each other?
The abundance of the heart, the mouth speak.
Exactly. Matthew 15. All right? We got to understand that your mouthpiece is going to get you up out of the kingdom. Let's see. Matthew 15, pick it up at verse, I believe, 7.
The book of Matthew, chapter 15 and verse 7.
Oh, let me get that. I know the people that's typing on the chat like, I hate when Trav teach. He always saying verse 7, then verse 6, then verse 5. My bad, y'all.
It ain't just you.
It ain't just me? Okay.
You hate when everybody teaches. Don't just hate when you teach, Trav. Teach when everybody.
Matthew 15.
Matthew 15 and verse 7. You hypocrites. Well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, this people draw near unto me with their mouth, and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me.
Drop down to verse 17. So now remember, in Proverbs he says, the tongue of the just is as choice silver. What is choice silver? Preferred, right? Preferred silver. Oh, I want this one.
Less garbage in it.
Right? Less garbage in it. It's more pure, right? Then he says the heart of the wicked.
Ain't worth a quota.
Right? Let's see what happened. Verse 17.
Verse 17. Do you not yet understand that whatsoever enter at the mouth goes into the belly and is cast out into the drought?
So whatever you eat, it go in your belly, you digest it, and it come out the sewer. Right? Now, which hole is the most important on your body? The one on your face or the one on your bottom? Which one is the most important?
Both might be equally important. They both might be equally important. Oh no. No, I'm saying you got the release.
So, hold on.
That's debatable.
Yeah, I was about to say,
That's debatable.
2-1 mouth. All right. How many of y'all say mouth is most important? To the body.
Mouth. Yeah.
To the body, what's the most important? Your mouth or your rectum? Yeah, that's a good word for it. I was gonna say your bunghole. I'm talking about the body, the flesh. What's the most important part? Who say mouth? Raise your hand. Mouth. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Who say the opposite? Okay. Y'all ready?
I say they equal.
B said they equal.
What are the
He lukewarm, y'all.
I'm just saying.
Which one is you riding?
Toe in the
I'm
line.
gonna say the bottom. The bottom. If I got to go with one.
If you got to
If
go
I
with
got
one.
to go with one, I got to go with the bottom.
All right. Now, if you say the mouth, whatever goes into the mouth goes where?
To the belly.
Into the belly. It does what?
Cast out into the drop.
It go where? It digests and then where it go?
Cast into the drop.
Not out of y'all's though. It stay in y'all's. The one who said mouth, the stuff stay
It don't come out.
in there. It stay in the belly.
Or it come out the mouth.
Right? Now, if it stay in the belly,
Always talking boo.
what happens to the body? It dies.
Okay, what happens if you're not able to chew or eat?
Wait, you skipping. Wait, hold on. We gotta deal with that one in a second. Hold on.
IV.
Exactly. If your bowels lock up, what happens to you? You die.
Put a beat.
Now, what happens if you what happens for my other side? What happens to on the other side if you don't have your mouth at all? You starve?
Feed tube.
IV. You live because of the IV.
Feed tube.
No, you can't live on IV.
Put your tube down the nose.
Well, I got the mic, so I say the ones who said the bottom is the most important win. We'll argue about it after class.
Hey, y'all proud of that? Y'all proud?
Let it be known.
Y'all proud of
I
that?
am firmly against it.
Y'all proud of that win?
I am firmly against it.
All right, let's get back to it, John. Let's get back to it. Verse 17. Listen, as long as I got the mic, y'all won. Okay?
Matthew chapter 15 and verse. They sore losers out there. They sore losers. Hey, y'all gotta be received correction. Matthew 15 and verse 17. Do not you understand that whatsoever enters into the mouth, enters in at the mouth, goes into the belly.
So remember, he says the tongue of the just, and then the heart of the wicked, right? Go ahead.
And is cast into the drought. But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart.
They do what?
And come forth from the heart. And they defile the man.
So whatever comes out of your mouth is coming from where? Your heart. And this is what actually defiles you. So Quab like, yo, man, I'm telling you, I got the mic, Quab.
I get one right there.
Right? So it's what comes from out of the heart that defile you. What are you supposed to do with those thoughts? You're supposed to cast them down, right? Keep reading.
For out of the heart proceeds evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man.
These are the things which defile a man, right? So if that's the case, and this stuff is coming out of your mouth, although you may not have done it, you are what? You're defiled. And if you're defiled, are you walking with the Most High? Absolutely not. So just the little things that we say can prevent you from walking with the Most High. Yeah? So you got to do what? Mind your mouth. I didn't say it wasn't important. I didn't say it wasn't important. You said what? Yes, the mouth is connected to the heart. Say that again.
Scripture don't say that.
We got a brother. It says if any man be religious among you. I said the body. I ain't saying nothing about the spirit. All right. So check it out. The little things that we say out of our mouth can cause us to lose our salvation, right? Can cause us to be damned. Yeah? Jump over to James, the 3rd chapter, 2nd verse.
James 3:2.
Now, let me get you on a second. James 3:2.
James 3:2.
Yeah.
For in many things we offend all.
For what?
In many things we offend all.
Go ahead.
If any man offend not in word.
If any man do what?
Offend not in word.
If you don't offend in word, then what?
The same as a perfect man.
The same as a who?
A perfect man.
So if you don't offend with your words, it says the same is a perfect man. Because in the multitude of words is what?
Sin.
The same. Read.
And able also to bridle the whole body.
And you're able to bridle your whole body using your what? If you can control your mouth, you can control your actions. Right? Read.
Behold, we put bits in the horses' mouths that they may obey us.
How big is that bit compared to that horse? Small. But what does it make the horse do? Whatever. Go ahead.
And we turn about their whole body. Behold also the ship, which though they be so great and are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with a very small helm.
So the small helm, how big was Titanic? What turned the Titanic?
The rudder.
That little wheel. How many tons was Titanic? Y'all ain't got to get into specifics, but y'all understand what I'm trying to say. It's that small thing that controls that whole body, right? It's the same thing with your body. Something that you would think is so insignificant. Guess what? Your tongue don't actually have a mind of its own. You know that, right? It only do or say what you tell it to say. Right? Read.
Verse 5. Even so, the tongue is a little member, and boasts great things.
It do what?
Boasts great things.
Read.
Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindles.
How great a matter of what?
A little fire kindles.
How great a matter a little who?
A little fire kindles.
A little fire kindle. Y'all do me a favor and say similitude.
Similitude.
Exodus 35:3. What great? So he calls your tongue a little who? What great of fire that little thing kindled. Exodus 35, verse 3. Shabbat shalom. Oh, y'all ain't want to say it? Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Y'all heard?
They don't want to talk now.
Y'all scared?
They don't want to talk no more.
Shabbat shalom. They said they don't want to talk. Trying to mind their word. Now, what is the Shabbat about? Rest. Peace. Exodus 35 and 3.
The book of Exodus, chapter 35 and verse 3. You shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day.
Stop. What did he say about your tongue?
A little member.
A little member that does what?
Kindle a great.
Kindles of fire. What did he say specifically?
How great a matter a little fire kindles.
So we see in his tongue as this fire, right? So if you're using your mouth to deal treacherously with one another on the Shabbat, if you're gossiping about somebody on the Shabbat, if you're tale-bearing about somebody on the Shabbat, if you're using somebody for sport on the Shabbat, guess what you are doing? Kindling a fire. Yes, we can. Let's go to...
Fellas in the back, this for y'all. Yeah, you. And you. And you. Stop ducking, BJ, you too.
Let's get something real quick.
Explain tailbearing and using, and what do you say, making a sport? Using somebody for sport.
Let's get this real quick.
We're not. Anah? It's for you too, homeboy.
Specifically said.
Right. So we gonna get the script. Now, matter of fact, since we talking to y'all, what do you think tailbearing is, Kyle? What you think tailbearing is, brother? Talking about certain people? Okay. What you think, Hank? That's not acceptable. Yes.
What's the tail? Huh? Say it again. What is that? No, not a tail. Not a T-A-I-L tail. A tail. T-A-L-E. A tail. What is a tail? What is a fairy tale? A fairy tale is a story, but it's a made up story. So what is a tale? It's a story. True or not true? A tale is a story. True or not true? No, I'm saying if the story is true or not, that's a tale. What is a bearer? Not a bear, a bearer. What's it? You ever heard of the term cupbearer? You know what a cupbearer is? A ring bearer? A pallbearer? Y'all know pallbearer. Anah, what's pallbearer? Oh. A ring bearer is the person that carries the ring during the wedding. A cup bearer is the person that carries the cup to the person that's drinking the cup. Pallbearer is the person that carries the casket. Yeah, the people that carries the pall. That carries the casket. So, a talebearer is somebody that carries a what?
A ring.
A story.
The story about a ring.
All right, y'all ready? All right. Let's jump into Proverbs 26 first. Verse 17. So yes, we talking to them, but we talking to everybody in here too. Remember, your mouth gonna get you in a whole bunch of trouble, and it will prevent you from being able to walk with the Most High. Yes, your stride may be synced with somebody, but if you don't believe in Mashiach and somebody else do, and y'all having a conversation, and you say something out the way, they gonna start to slow up. Like, hold on, man. Right? They're gonna be able to walk with them for too long, if that's the case. Right? Proverbs 26:17.
Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 17. He that passes by and meddles with strife belonging not to him.
So a person that go by and mess with somebody else's problems,
Stick his nose.
being nosy, sticking your nose into something that ain't got nothing to do with you. Read.
Is like one that takes a dog by the ears. As a madman who casts firebrands.
He's like, he casts what?
Firebrands, arrows, and death.
He casts firebrands, arrows, and death. Read.
So is the man that deceives his neighbor.
That do what?
Deceives his
That
neighbor.
deceives his neighbor and say what?
And says, am not I in sport?
Oh, I'm just playing.
What happens if you grab a dog by the ear? I don't have a dog.
A pit bull.
They're going to try to get away by every means necessary. Right? It says this is a madman. Just like a person who goes around and meddles into other people's business. Right? Or when you talking about somebody and you talking about their appearance, you talking about what they got on, and then you turn around and say, I'm just playing, bro. The damage is already done.
When you say something that hurts somebody else's feelings.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. No, it was capping. It was the dozens. It was feasted, roasted, jested, blazing, flaming.
Mom tell me, oh, Daddy, you feel crunchy.
You feel crunchy. You salty. You feeling salty? Right? What are
Oh,
those?
you feel crunchy. Oh.
Remember, these things are contrary to the Most High. That's what anybody in here. Sisters, y'all see another sister say, she ain't wearing them shoes right. Look at her ankles. She about to fall out of that thing.
Or backhanded compliments.
Yeah. Oh. You look so nice in that hair wrap.
You see what she got on her head?
Right? That alone can get you from walking with the Most High. It ain't love at all. It's not a conversation to the use of edifying.
Oh, that jacket look nice
Right?
on you. Or you look good today.
You know, kind of like what the nail thing. All right, go ahead. Keep reading.
Verse 19. So is the man that deceives his neighbor and says, am not I in sport?
Look at what he said now.
Where no wood is, there the fire goes out.
Where there is no wood, what goes out?
There the fire goes out.
The fire goes out. What did he call the fire? Read.
So, where there is no talebearer,
Where it ain't no talebearer, then what?
the strife ceases.
So if it's strife amongst the congregation, if it's strife amongst you fellas, if it's issues amongst the people, guess what's going on? Somebody talking too much.
You know what strife is? Y'all know what strife is?
Beef.
Yeah, beef. He mad at me. I'm mad at him.
Issues.
She mad at me. I'm mad at her. And it's usually kept up by somebody that's playing both ends up the middle, going back and forth, saying, "Well, such and such said this. Well, he said that about you. Well, tell him I said." The person that's in the middle, going back and forth, telling each other, that's the tailbearer.
That's the tailbearer. They're carrying the tail.
That's the wood that they keep the fire blazing.
Right?
You remove the tailbearer, the fire go out.
Right? Keep reading.
As coals are to burning coals, and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife.
So he says, as coals are to burning coals and wood to fire, meaning it's here to add fuel to the fire. It's here to make it hotter. You already got issues, but now you don't know, he said. Right? The instigator. Somebody that goes in and causes more issue than what was actually there. Right? Oh, I'm just looking out for my homie. I'm just looking out for my girl. Right? A brother came to me the other day and said, why did this and that happen? I said, well, go ask them. You know why? Because I don't want to be in the middle. Same thing for adults. You know why? Because if you're in the middle, if you're the one going back and forth talking, you the tailbearer. You the one that's not going to be walking with the Most High. Right? Read.
The words of a talebearer are as wounds.
As what?
As wounds. They go down into the innermost parts of the belly. Burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. He that hates dissembles.
He that hates dissembles with what?
With his lips.
With his lips. A person that's hateful is going to always constantly tear down, take away brotherhood and fellowship, keep one from another. Right? Read.
And lays up deceit.
And do what?
Lays up deceit within him. When he speaks fair.
When he do what?
When he speaks fair.
When he do say something good, what?
Believe him not.
Don't believe that. Because guess what? Even though it's good right now, guess what it's going to turn into? Something bad. Exactly. Right?
Go ahead. For there are 7 abominations in his heart. Whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be shown.
To where?
Before the whole congregation.
So sooner or later, it's going to come out.
And you the one keeping up mess.
It's going to come out.
Say, scratch a lie, find a.
Find a what? Read.
When he speaks fair, believe him not. For there are 7 abominations in his heart. Whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be shown before the whole congregation. Whoso digs a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolls a stone, it will return upon him.
So you digging a pit for somebody else, you gonna fall into it. Watch your mouth. Mind your words. Don't get in other people's business. Or Proverbs chapter 20. 19.
Proverbs 20 and 19. He that goes about as a talebearer.
What do he do?
Reveals secrets.
He do what?
Reveals secrets.
He do what?
Reveals secrets.
You're somebody's confidant? Are you somebody's confidant? Are you somebody's confidant? He that is a talebearer does what?
Reveals secrets.
They reveal secrets. You can't walk with the Most High with that. Right? Read.
Therefore, meddle not with him.
Don't even do what?
Meddle not with him.
If a person, oh, such and such told me, hold on, y'all, don't say nothing. So now when you go back and say something to them, they don't say nothing. Guess what they do to yours? They don't say nothing, but you know Right? If somebody start the conversation off with don't say nothing.
No, then you stop. You interject like no.
You don't say nothing. Right? But what happens is the flesh loves gossip.
Itching ears.
It loves issue. It loves debate. It loves strife. It's almost like it's addictive. Oh, what did they say? You know you wrong for even listening.
You see somebody telling a secret, it's like, what y'all talking about over here? You run to it. What y'all over here talking about?
And if they say, oh no, we ain't talking about nothing, the first thing you think, oh, they must have been talking about me.
Right.
You know why you think that? Because you would have been doing the same thing.
Yeah, and it probably was.
But guess what? None of these people make it to the kingdom. None of these, as much as we laughing, none of these people make it to the kingdom because they can't mind their mouth. Let's go back to that James. Y'all good? I know you good. That boy is paying attention.
Over here.
James 3 again.
James 3
Pick it up in verse,
and verse what, 6.
6.
And verse 6.
So he already told us don't kindle a fire on Shabbat, right? You around here speaking that mess around here, you breaking the Shabbat. I don't care if you at rest or not. Your mouth ain't. Read.
And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity.
It's a what?
A world of iniquity.
It's the multitude of words. There lack not what? He called it a world of iniquity. So if you knowing that your tongue is a world of iniquity.
Or 3 and 6.
Who said that? Say it louder. Stop talking. If it's not to the use of edifying, stop talking. There's no reason to have a frivolous conversation that you know gonna lead to nothing but strife, debate, gossip, and all type of unrighteousness. You can't walk with y'all like that. I keep this commandment, I keep that commandment, I keep this commandment, but you can't control your mouth. You ain't going nowhere with it. Right? Why do people that do crimes don't take people that talk too much with them? If you get jammed up, he gonna be the first to tell where he can't go.
Like that meme.
Right.
Point directly at him.
What Jesus say? If you get jammed up, don't mention my name. Go ahead, read.
Verse 6. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defiles the whole body.
Did it do what?
Defiles the whole body.
Same thing Mashiach said. Read.
And sets on fire the course of nature. And it is set on fire of hell.
Of who?
Of hell.
Read.
For every kind of beast, and of bird, and of serpents, and of things in the sea is tamed.
A lion, a tiger, a bear, a cheetah. Everything that you can possibly be scared of. I remember when I was younger, pit bulls was like the worst thing ever to me. But now I go into people's houses with pit bulls and they're the nicest things ever. Because they're able to be tamed. Lions is rolling around in the grass with people because they're tamed. Snakes get called upon and bite what people say and don't bite what people say. They can be tamed. Read.
And have been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame.
He said, but the tongue can what?
Can no man tame.
Read.
It is an unruly evil.
It's a what?
An unruly evil. Full of deadly poison.
Full of who?
Deadly poison.
So if you use this tongue against your brother, that means that you just did what to him? With what? Some deadly poison, right? Which means you did what to your brother? You killed him. Which means that you're not of who? What's that?
Sticks and stones.
Oh yeah. Words hurt people. Right?
But you just tell your kids that so they don't get in their feelings.
But if you murder your brother, then you are none of the Most High's. Even if you doing it with your mouth. It ain't no I'm just playing. That won't get you in the kingdom. Exactly. Read.
Therewith we bless Elohim, even the Father, and therewith we curse, and therewith curse we men, which are made after the similitude of Elohim.
So out of your mouth, you going to say, all praises to the Most High. And out of that same mouth, you going to curse at your brother. Out of that same mouth, you going to talk bad about your brother when he's wearing the very image of Elohim himself. What he's saying is you can't bless the Most High and curse the Most High at the same time. Because you're not just doing it to your brother. You're doing it to who?
Yeah.
To him. Read.
Out of the same mouth proceeds blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things are not to be so. Does a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter? Can a fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries? Either a vine of figs? So can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh?
So now they go right back to that make a decision. Pick one. You walking with Yah or you not? Is that gossip, that little bit of information you getting, is that worthy of you being taken off the path of walking with the Most High? Is that worthy enough for you to be able to say you hate him? I don't want y'all to forget that. When you're sinning, you're saying you hate the Most High. And if you hate him, you can't walk with him. It's a quotable. Is that enough? What you be saying, Ak, if you don't have some word for people to dump their garbage? Go ahead and say that saying you be saying. You remember it? You look like you remember it.
No, I've been saying so much stuff.
You be saying so much stuff.
I want to talk too much.
There's so many good sayings.
Watch it now. And when he's saying so much, they're saying a multitude of words.
Let me rephrase that. I got so many good sayings.
Now he's proud.
You sure not to make sport, brother?
No,
Hey, that's what the book says.
That make it sport of you. Get it, Ron. Get it. I can't remember what I remember. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Don't dump your trash on my front lawn. You don't give somebody somewhere to.
Or you don't be a person's garbage disposal.
There you go.
When they come up and they trying to dump their garbage on you. Yeah. You're supposed to shut them down. It was something like that.
I got so many.
Bottom line is, mind your tongue, right?
Right.
Because you one way or the other. That boy Maccabees coined the phrase.
Be one way.
Be one way.
Al Hudson.
Either you gonna walk with him or you not gonna walk with him. That's just the way it goes. Micah chapter 6 and verse 8. We close out.
Openly admitted it, though.
Lost my mic.
There you go.
The book of Micah. Micah.
6.
Chapter 6 and verse
8.
8. He have showed you, O man, what is good, and what does Yahuwah require of you?
What does he require of us, y'all?
But to do justly,
To do justly.
and to love mercy,
To do what?
and to love mercy.
Love mercy. That means that on your brethren as well. Love mercy. Don't be out here talking about, I can't wait for this place to go up in flames. I can't wait for these people to get killed. I can't wait for this. That's not mercy. Because if he couldn't wait back then, you wouldn't be able to say that today. Read.
Love mercy.
And do what?
Love mercy.
Uh-huh.
And walk humbly with your Elohim.
That's our goal. That's our mission. That's the end goal. Walk humbly with Elohim. Elder Martin's song says, we walking in well, you know, I gotta get you too. We'll talk. Walking in victory. Right? The only way you can be walking in victory is if you're walking with Yah. Walking after the Spirit. That's the only way. Outside of that, you toast. And with that, I say shalom. Questions, comments, concerns? You loved it? You hated it? Do it again? Don't do it again? Yeah. Oh, you want to get back to that? Okay.
Corinthians, which talks about the members of the body. I can't think to the beat. I'm gonna walk here and stuff like that. That part. It mentions
12.
the least member. The least.
It talked about the who?
The least.
The least member. You know what? We hit it.
Okay.
Because I taught a lesson on that before.
Yeah, it's the most important part because it can be a lot louder than you think.
Absolutely. That's the book. That's the book. Hold on, we'll debate in a second. Y'all. Let's get to these questions. Now I ain't debating with y'all on the Shabbat. I will not kindle a fire.
I cannot let it slide. No. Not while I'm sitting here. No.
When I was learning about health, it kept me in the Word because there's so much in there, all in between about our bodies.
Right. All right, let's go ahead. I heard you.
Wait to the end. Huh?
No, go ahead.
So we got the account of Enoch speaking in Jude,
Yes.
and in Genesis 4, the last verse says that they began to blaspheme the Most High upon the earth, right?
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, well, not out of nowhere, in this chapter, we got Enoch, who was dedicated to walking with the Most High. That's why I said at the beginning he was doing that in a time where everybody else was choosing wicked. And right after Enoch left, in chapter 6, the sons of Elohim started, which would be the sons of Seth, started back going, choosing the wickedness, just like how the children of Israel, as soon as their leader was gone, the world or the children of Israel spiraled back into wickedness. So my question is, Enoch walked with the Most High, which means no man had seen the Father any time. He was walking with Mashiach. So when he came and Jude was talking about when he prophesied in the book of Jude, was that just like an oral thing that they was passing along, or was and that's the Messiah? He told him that, and that's not written in the Torah, or can we? Is there somewhere else where we can verify those records of Jude? Because I don't believe in the book.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I said.
So you said, well, the question is there somewhere in the scriptures where we can verify what was said in Jude?
Not even that. I guess verifying. Well, where else can we see Enoch speak? Because Jude say a lot of things that not necessarily. Is this question about Moses and the angel arguing with? Is that in Jude about the devil trying to take Moses' body and the messengers that was held over to the end? That's in Jude, correct?
Let's see.
Yeah. Let's save it to the end.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, we're gonna save it. We'll get to these questions. That's a little deep right there.
I'm sorry.
No, you good. Any more questions in here? Any? Going once? Going twice? Sold to the chat. All right, let's see what we got. Okay.
You said if you're walking with the Most High, if you knowingly commit sin, you hate him. Can you find him
Yeah. Definitely coming back for that. A coming back for that if you're not reprobate. So like, just like, repentance. He gives you the option to repent, to turn away from your sin. You know what I'm saying? It ain't just cut off, because, we've committed a bunch of sins. You know what I'm saying? But we got to understand that his blood, like we was talking about with that reprobate lesson, his blood only went out and paid for the ones that it paid for. You know what I'm saying? We got to bear them other ones. You know what I'm saying? So like Peter, who he built this congregation on, right? He told Peter, he said, you're going to deny me 3 times. No, I ain't going to deny you. You're going to deny me 3 times, right? So the sin that he committed was with his what? With his mouth, right? He get out there, he get the line. I don't know him. I don't know that. I don't know that. Right? Yeah, I don't know that. Right? Which, according to Mashiach, was an ultimate transgression. Because he says, if you deny me before men, I will deny you before my Father. Right? Now imagine Peter thinking all of this. Oh my goodness, if I deny him before men. All this stuff, right? But it didn't stop Peter. Peter still went on to preach the gospel and become a pillar to the house. You know what I'm saying? And he gonna make it.
You think Peter got to bear that one though?
Do he gotta bear it?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, Mashiach wasn't dead yet. Blood could have paid for that one.
I feel like he was dying.
Okay, what is one mind is reprobate? Can one come back from a reprobated mind?
No. One cannot come back from a reprobate mind. Go to Deuteronomy real quick.
He was dead.
He was?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
He just hadn't rose yet. Remember, it was before the cock crowed.
He was dying.
He wasn't dead yet.
When the cock crowed, that was dawn. He was dead. Clearly.
How? They just took him.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no, they just took him.
You're right.
Yeah, they just took him. That's what he was going to see. Like,
You're right. My bad.
All right, Deuteronomy. So the question is, if a person is reprobate, can they come back from it? Let's go to Deuteronomy 30. And pick it up at verse 16.
Oh, yeah.
Deuteronomy 30 and 16.
The book of
Now,
Deuteronomy.
the premise of this is the Most High's word do not return to him what? Void, right? Go ahead.
Chapter 30 and verse 16. And that I command you this day to love Yahuwah your Elohim, to walk in his ways.
To do what?
To walk in his ways.
To do what?
To walk in his ways.
He's telling you to do it early. Walk in his ways, read.
And to keep his commandments
Uh-huh.
and his statutes
Uh-huh.
and his judgments, that you may live and multiply, and Yahuwah your Elohim shall increase you in the land where you go to possess it. But if your heart turn away,
If your what turns away?
if your heart turn away,
If your heart turns away and
so that you will not hear, but shall be drawn away, and to worship other El and serve them, I denounce unto you this day.
He says you what?
I denounce unto you this day
Uh-huh.
that you shall surely perish,
Uh-huh.
and that you shall not prolong your days upon the land where I go where you pass over Jordan to go to possess it.
So if he said, I denounce unto you this day that you're going to certainly die, what else can a person do with that? If you turn your heart away, you worship other gods, you're not keeping his commandments, your heart is gone. It said you won't even hear his word. He said he denounced unto you this day that you're going to certainly die. There's no coming back from that. Because you did it to yourself. He didn't do it. You did it. He just gave you over to it. You know what I mean? Anybody else got a question in here? Keep your sin. You can have it.
Do you think the way the Most High had Paul write his epistle was approved? Because you know how if you know the law or the scripts, he'll throw you all the way up. Almost like you double talking or something.
That's why it say, I speak to those that know the law. Like specifically, it's just I always use this example. If I be like, he's like, man, I'm hungry. Like, man, Yachty, order a pizza. And you say, well, what you want on it? And I say, man, get anything, it don't matter. I speak to you as one that know the law. You ain't gonna get something that you know is outside the confines of the law.
Absolutely.
You're gonna get those things, you will get anything, but only those things that are within the parameters of the law. So if he's speaking to those men that know the law and he's saying certain things to say like, don't judge don't judge a man in respect of days, right? Specifically he ain't saying, a person that's keeping the Sabbath, don't judge him. It's got to be something to it. You know what I'm saying? Because he's speaking to somebody that know the law. So he's not gonna put, if you know the law and the law say, remember the Sabbath day to keep it Kodesh, he's not gonna speak against that. You know what I mean?
So a lot of stuff with Paul, we gotta realize people were sending letters to him, asking him certain questions. So when Paul is speaking, he actually repeats the question sometimes in it, but if you don't know it, you think it's him asking the question, but it's not. It's him actually reading what somebody said to him, then he come back and answer it. Right? But most people don't know that. So we always do this stuff like Romans chapter 8, verse 15. We just start reading right there. Right? He especially you can't do that with. Right? So you got to go back to the beginning of his letter. It's just like if somebody wrote you a letter, you wouldn't open it up, skip the first 5 pages, and start on the 6th page. You would read it from the beginning, or you wouldn't know how it got there.
Yeah.
But everybody do this with Paul, with the Bible in general, but it's super hard with him because he's speaking, and like he tell you directly, if you don't know the law, don't even read this. You know what I'm saying? So people constantly hit me up all the time. What is Paul saying in this? Have you?
That's the first go-to.
Exactly. That means you don't know over here yet. I mean, you should stay from over there because it's gonna get you twisted up. This is a way a lot of people fall away from the book. Now, I don't know about Paul, bro.
Yeah.
Man, Paul be saying some off stuff, bro. Like, no, you just don't get it.
Yeah.
Right? You just don't get it. He ain't saying some off stuff, but so it's got to be very, very careful reading Paul. You must know the law because he's quoting the law and the prophets all the time.
Even like to specifically speak to your verbiage, where do we think that the Most High used Paul to, what'd you say? To prove us, right? So when you use that verbiage, a non-believer of Mashiach will say the same thing, right? Well, see, he twisting everything up, you know what I'm saying? Just to see if you gonna follow it. You know what I mean? So we got to be careful with the verbiage because the Most High didn't use him for nothing but to preach the gospel. Just like the rest of them. You know what I'm saying? It said that we twist his scriptures to our own hurt. You know what I'm saying? We wrestle with it. We're doing it to our own hurt because we don't know what we should know when we read it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but look at who it says twisted or wrestle with the epistles. It said those who are unlearned, right?
Unstable.
Yeah, the followers of Mashiach, like I said, we read the word disciple, but disciple literally means taught ones. They was those who were taught by the Messiah himself. So if you were taught, that means you were learned. Mm-hmm. So if you were unlearned, mean that you had, read this book and tell me what I can't. Because I don't understand it. It's closed to me. people don't really understand it, so they unable to, to really understand what Paul is saying,
Right.
But if you well versed in the law, and I say to read you something out of Paul's letters, you know what I mean? That's even for us reading today. He's speaking, or he's writing this letter to people that know the law, and we are supposed to be people that know the law. If you read the letter, then it's like, okay, this is you have to know the law in order to decipher it. You know what I'm saying? You have to. Like, that's one of the prerequisites to Paul's epistles. But if you jump right into Paul without being well versed in the law, then those are usually the people who wind up putting the New Testament ain't right.
Right.
They start with Paul, then it's the gospel, then the whole New Testament, then the whole book.
Can you hit that?
Yeah, always.
That respect their days.
I said, can you hit it? Hit it how?
Respect your days.
Yeah. Say again?
Told them it was okay to keep it.
Yeah, because let's read it. What is that? What is that? Romans, Ronnie?
Yeah.
14.
It's Colossians.
Colossians?
Colossians 2. Yeah, that's what I said.
But the one we was talking about the other day was
What do you say? Galatians 2?
is it Colossians?
Colossians.
I thought it was Romans.
It might be one of
That was
those.
another
It's
one.
one of
Okay.
the Colossians.
That I got hit with, that I wanted to have my, all my books
My sword.
in chain.
That's it.
Yeah, it's Colossians. He was talking to the people at
Yeah.
Colossians.
2:16. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or respect of holy day, or in the new moon, or in the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Hamashiach. Let no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility and worshiping of Malachim, and intruding into those things which he have not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind, and not holding the head, from which all the body by joints and bands having nourishment ministered, and knit together, increasing with the increase of Elohim. Wherefore, if you be dead with Hamashiach from the rudiments of the world, why, as though living in the world, are you subject to ordinances? Touch not, taste not, handle not, which are all to perish with the using after the commandments and doctrines of men, which things have indeed to show of wisdom and will worship and humility and neglecting of the body, not in any honor to satisfy of the flesh. So when you read that 16, it says, let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of holy day, right? And so you reread it as in, reread it from the standpoint of, I can do what I want. I can keep any day. I can eat anything. Yeah, but yeah. So when we go back to Colossians chapter 1 and verse 1, it says, Paul, an apostle of Yeshua HaMashiach by the will of Elohim, and Timotheus, our brother, to the saints and faithful brethren in Hamashiach, which are in Colossus. Grace be unto you and peace. We give thanks to Elohim. So you understand who he's talking to, right? The saints. What did the scripture say that the saints are? Saints are the ones that keep the commandments. But however, these people in particular look to be as if they were Gentiles. So just like we were thought of once as Gentiles, and we began to observe the Sabbath and keep the dietary law and do these things, and then you get judged by those people who's still in the world. Exactly, in respect. Right? So it's like, why you can't buy? You can't, what? Why can't you just, man, that's crazy. Y'all can't do what? You know? So what happens is if now you're being judged, and so it's like, dang, you start to want to, what is it called?
Peer pressure. Follow that peer pressure.
But it's what is it called when you go against
Conform?
something? Not conform. It's another word. Say again.
Contrary.
No, not contrary. I don't know.
Whew.
Definitely wasn't that word.
You begin to waver.
Compromise. You begin to compromise. And so you try to find loopholes as to, because you start to compromise. Well, maybe I can. Yeah, exactly.
Somebody they compromise with like turning on the stove and stuff, kindling the fire, saying that it's talking about preparing food. If you're just reheating it, it's okay. But hold on, the scripture said to get your food together the next day. It didn't say warm it up.
But that scripture in particular don't even mention food. That says kindle a fire. So what if it's for warmth? You know what I mean? It specifically say kindle a fire. So it's like you will read people reading and infer stuff into it that's not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like so, what is the warmth? You got to use waver, man. Use judgment. Right.
But it's funny how that's worded in there like that, though.
Yeah, but
What was the lesson in light of Trav's lesson? What was the lesson with Peter? In light of Trav's lesson. Okay, in light of Trav's lesson, what was the lesson with Peter? What was the lesson with Peter that you can take from that?
With him denying Mashiach.
He should have did what? He should have shut up.
And he cursed too.
Exactly. He wanted to try to show that I'm more righteous than the rest of them. I'll never leave you. You know what I'm saying? I'll never go away from you. And you ain't gotta do none of that. You don't gotta show off for him to make him, you know what I'm saying, go the extra mile. He should have just been quiet, and then y'all put him to the test.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times we say stuff to try to be heroic in front of people. Oh, I'll die for this word. He just might put you to the test.
You say you believe?
He just might put you to the test and see, are you really about it, like you say.
By your word shall you be justified. By your word shall you be condemned.
Exactly. But this is why he's like he's saying, mind your mouth. You don't gotta go the extra mile, you know what I'm saying, to do nothing.
Think before you speak.
Think before you speak. Just be quiet.
He knows what your heart feels.
Exactly. But your lie, like he said, you can see it. People speak too much. You can see the lie forming. It's coming out. You're lying. Just nod my head and rock with you. Oh, word, that's crazy. Oh, word, that's crazy. You're lying. Okay, cool.
You know what happens? Say you be like, yo, you heard him?
Right.
Yo, let me at him.
Now you heard what he said, right?
Yo.
Because a lie, you gonna forget. You gonna forget the lie. But the truth, you don't forget. When you make up a lie and say this, man, I couldn't come, man. My job had me working, man. Just tell them the truth. I'm not gonna make it though. Cause some kind of way you don't forget, cause it's a lie.
Hey, remember last year when you ain't come? Oh yeah, man, I was over there with cousin.
Don't you said you working?
I was over there working with cousin. You know what I'm saying? Now you gotta work harder to continue to lie. Hey, when such and such call you, I was over here doing
Exactly. Get somebody else involved in the lie. So that's why it's good to be quiet. Be quiet.
You say, is hearing gossip against the Most High? or being a part of it, pretty much. I'm thinking that's what you're asking, right?
Listening to it.
Listening to it. Go to Romans 1 and 31.
You touched on that already too.
Romans what?
Romans 1, matter of fact, pick it up at like verse 28, 29. That way you can get the whole spectrum.
Romans 1.
120. Go 20, 28. Let me see it. Let me see this one. Yeah, 128.
Romans 1:28.
Romans chapter 128. And even as they did not like to retain Elohim in their knowledge, Elohim gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness.
All unrighteousness, right? Read.
Fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers.
Who?
Whisperers.
Whisperers. More times than not, when you talebearing and when you gossiping, you can't do it out loud. Read.
Backbiters.
Who?
Backbiters.
Right? Read.
Haters of Elohim. Despiteful.
When he say haters of Elohim, what are you talking about? People that what? That disobey the commandments. Read.
Despiteful. Proud. Boasters. Inventors of evil things. Disobedient to parents. Without understanding. Covenant breakers. Without natural affection. Implacable. Unmerciful. Who knowing the judgment of Elohim.
Who what?
Who knowing the judgment of Elohim.
The reason why they're reprobate is because they already know the judgments and they still doing it. Read.
That they which commit such things.
That they which commit such things are what?
Are worthy of death.
Read.
Are worthy of death. Not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
So if you got pleasure in the people that do them, you worthy of death too. Right? Just like Sister Cynthia said, she said, pretty much bring up the stuff like with social media, right? So like Wendy Williams' show, right? Her show is literally a gossip platform, right? And the word she expressly used was, it's a teaching device, right? So not only do you hear the gossip, but you're taught how to gossip. Right? It's practice for you. You know what I'm saying? It makes it okay. Subconsciously in your mind, it makes it okay for you. Well, did you hear? Right? So whatever, like what Quab said, if you don't know how to watch TV,
put it down.
Don't watch TV. You know what I'm saying? Because these things are on here for a reason. They showing you this stuff for you to mimic. You know what I'm saying? They give you this stuff for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Them rich white folks ain't over there watching Wendy Williams. You are. They not watching TMZ. You are. Atlanta House, they ain't watching that stuff. They over there listening to Mozart planning their next $1 million move. You know, Mozart pretty good. Social media, right? When you sharing a post about something going on that you didn't even read. Such and such murders such and such, right? And then somebody click on it and it's ad, it's fake. You just shared it. You didn't even read it. You saw it, it enticed you, and you shared it. Man, you know such and such killed such and such. How you know that? Man, go look at my page. And they be the one that read it. And that was fake. Or one that I'm guilty of. Such and such is missing. And don't click on it. And say, prayers up, hope they find them. You click on it, it says, such and such was found. An hour after, they went missing. But the clickbait It's for you to look at it. You know what I'm saying? That's spreading gossip.
Thank you, Marcus. Marcus always.
He be hit. You know what I'm saying? Or like my cousin told me, he said he actually researched some of these joints. And the parents of these children are saying they took my child's face and just put it on an ad saying, listen, my baby been right here the whole time.
Wow.
You spreading gossip. Wow. Words are powerful, yeah? Life and death is in the power of the tongue, yeah? So, you know, we just got to be mindful, man. You know, when you taking in information, when you putting out information, all of that matters. Everything matters.
Yeah, even like the content, like sharing memes that are demeaning or degrading or like put people in the wrong frame of mind. I feel like.
So I can't share the Jordan face? I can't share the crying Jordan face?
Oh yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Is he in sport?
Yeah, he would be doing it in sport.
So then, I mean, the shirt
So Jordan was, he was crying like on some type of show or something like ESPN, and they took a snapshot of his face when he was crying, and they put it on other people's faces when they going through something like crazy. Like, it's, if you ain't seen it out, it's good. It's actually good.
Say for instance, if the Warriors just lost the championship, they would put the meme on Steph's face because this how he feeling. Crying now. Sad, but it looks super funny.
Or the Tyrese joint.
Super funny.
And it's an app where you can create your own.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
Not of him.
They making fun of
the person they put the face on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
cutting the meat off of people in China and selling it as beef. That's a rumor too, right?
Unless you actually checked on it and know for a fact. They was doing it? Well, if it's a truth, then it's a truth. Yeah. Put it past it. But let's not get beside the point, y'all. Like when we talking about gossip, we know we can pinpoint it. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, even when we amongst the body, gotta be mindful of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? We with each other every week. It's not hard to talk about somebody. You know what I'm saying? You ain't seen that tissue hanging from their shoe? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get into the habit of that because you're taking yourself away from walking with the Most High. You know what I mean?
So we talk about the posting pictures of mismatched socks and people sleeping.
That might be okay.
I'm offended.
Hey, my aunt B is offended when y'all take no more pictures of B. All right?
I won't have no more opportunity.
No more pictures of B.
I'll stop that.
No, just imagine.
It don't bother me, but.
Right? They go it's right back again, doing to others as you would have them do it to you. So if I fell asleep somewhere and I'm slobbering or whatever, no, I don't want you to. Not you. Guess what? I don't want you to put that up because I don't want people laughing at me. It's not a good feeling for people to laugh at you, right? Laugh with you, good. At? No. The mellow one don't like it. So, again, if you know you don't like it, don't do it. Real simple.
Don't offend. This boy just played the club.
You talk too much.
You talk too much. You talk too much.
I think that's it.
Is that all for questions? We good?
I think that's it for questions.
We got any announcements? Any announcements, Sister Wanda?
Brother Yaron will be joining the praise and worship team.
Any
He's out. Man.
Chosen seed mass choir.
Chosen seed mass choir.
Any updates?
Any updates?
Pesach.
Pesach. Days for Pesach again?
The 7th.
7th through the 14th?
Through the 14th. The 7th that evening is Passover. The 8th is the first day of unleavened bread, and the 14th is the last day of unleavened bread. Wait, say again?
Hold it down, y'all. Please.
What days we not supposed to work?
The 8th and the 14th. Yeah. The 8th and the 14th. But we are getting together the 7th, the 8th, and the 14th. Yeah. Right on.
What's up, Caleb?
Don't be scared.
No. You had some? Go ahead.
Back to the 8th and 14th, I wasn't paying attention.
Those are the days that we need to take off of work for the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So Passover is the 7th that evening. The 8th is the first day of unleavened bread. The 14th is the last day of unleavened bread, which are high Sabbaths. No. We need to address where we had Passover last year.
Same spot.
Tompkins Center.
The Tompkins Center and where?
Grosse Pointe Park.
Inside of Windmill Point.
That's the
all
7th.
3 days.
Oh, all 3 days.
7th, the 8th, and the 14th, correct? The 7th, the 8th, and the 14th, right? Yeah, all 3 days. So this, all 3 days.
So my East Side people, y'all are able
Say again,
to.
Sister Wanda.
I was saying, the sisters gonna be discussing the menu. I guess they'll sure with it being them hosting it or whatever. I guess we'll be discussing the menu.
So Cheryl is in charge of the menu.
No, I wouldn't say that.
No. Oh, hey.
So Cheryl is a vegan, and I'm pretty sure we all don't want her in charge of the menu.
No, not like that. I'm just saying she's gonna be vegan. She a person though. It's gonna work for her.
All right. Go ahead. Hold it down.
Oh, New Breed. That was
Hebrews and Negroes on the program.
It's that weekend? Huh?
Hebrews in Detroit for Passover.
Okay.
Their conference is circled around Passover.
Okay. So they having something for that whole week? Is there something happening now?
It's just Thursday, Friday. Like 3 days.
The whole week?
4 days.
You said you think it's like 3 or 4 days. She said she thinks it's the whole week. Now the only difference with there is I think you got to pay to be at theirs, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What, a couple $100, something like that.
It ain't that much.
It will be for family.
Yeah, if you got your family, you probably gonna spend some.
What day is that?
Black and gold on the 8th.
On the 8th?
On the 8th.
Okay.
That's right, Snyder. So our Passover dinner, the night of the 7th. The first day of unleavened bread will be the day of the 8th. Yeah. Yeah. On Friday at 7:30, have your parents bring you. I do want to say this. 1 week out of every month, the youth will run praise and worship. 1 week out of every month. I thank them young brothers back there for that. But yeah, so 7:30 on Friday. Y'all make sure they are there, and we'll make sure we have them back by at least 1 o'clock in the morning. Chosen City bus. We're gonna have to. All right, is that everything? All right, that's everything. So, where my people's at? Besalil, what's up, man? We gotta go ahead and do this thing. We gonna pray. Pray out. We gonna pray out. Hey, we gonna pray. Pray out. We gonna pray out. We gonna pray out.
Father Yah, we give thanks for the word. We give thanks for your word that went forth, Father. We pray, Father, that it would resonate within our Ruach, Father. That you would allow your Ruach, Father, to call all things to remembrance, Father. That in those days that we're faced with these conflicting situations, Father, where our ears may itch to hear gossip, or our mouths may run to bear tales, Father. That you would call those things to remembrance, Father. Your word, Father, which calls these things an abomination, Father. Which calls the people that do these things, Father, that those who are, we'll call them wicked, or those who do not walk with you, Father. Yes. We pray that you would continue to walk with us, Father. We thank you for your mercy, Father. We pray that it would abound, Father, and that you would continue to order our steps and lead us and guide us into all righteousness, Father. Father, we thank you for your Ruach, Father, that was given to comfort, Father. Yes, Father. We continue to pray for those who are sick and shut in, Father. We continue to pray for those who are mourning and grieving, Father, for our sister Alicia, Father, for our sister Dominique, Father, and their families, Father. That you would bring comfort and healing, Father, that you allow their hearts to grieve, Father, according to righteousness, Father. Father, we just want to ask, Father, that you would just continue to mend and stitch the broken hearts, Father, that they will be made whole again, Father. Yes, Father. That you would allow mercy, Father, to abound and grace as well, Father. Yes. Father, all these things we pray and we give thanks. So be it. So be it. Abinu Shabbat Shemaim. Abinu Shabbat Shemaim. Ikadosh. Ikadosh. Shenkan. Shenkan. Tabo. Tabo. Malkutka. Malkutka. Yeasik. Yeasik. Ratzonka. Ratzonka. Baaretz. Baaretz. Kashir. Kashir. Nasha. Nasha. Bashemaim. Bashemaim. Tain Lanu. Tain Lanu. Hayom. Hayom. Lekin. Lekin. Hikanu. Hikanu. Lanu. Lanu. Eight. Eight. Ashmatenu. Ashmatenu. Kashir. Kashir. Suki. Suki. Anaknu. Anaknu. Lashir. Lashir. Ashmu. Ashmu. Lanu. Wa'al, Tabinu, Lede, Masa, Ki, Asalanu, Bi, Hara, Ki, Laka, Aman Laka, Wahagi Bora, Wahati Pare, Lome, Ulami, so be it. So be it. Check. Hey, B. With the who? With the offering.
Let me see that. Let me see that.
If you wouldn't have been distracted, you wouldn't have been.
Hey, fellas. Anybody with able hands let's set up this front so they can serve the food up front, and we make this thing more clear for them. Please, anybody with able hands.